next we have Professor Deaton. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I'm honored to be here. I am happy to also see familiar faces from your last visit to the University of Guelph. In my opening remarks, I'm mainly going to discuss public policy matters related to food insecurity, which affects an unacceptable 25% of our population. My comments are based on my research as a professor at the University of Guelph, my professional training as an agriculture economist, and my life and work experiences in low-income and food insecure regions of the world. Food insecurity remains one of the most substantive concerns facing Canada. This problem predates our most recent geopolitical tensions and is compounded by contemporary economic challenges, particularly for low-income individuals. Food insecurity is well defined, inadequate access to food quality or quantity due to financial limitations, and it's measured by Statistics Canada. A core cause is low income. Therefore, the most efficient way to reduce food insecurity is to increase the effective income of households, whether directly through increased income or indirectly through reduced costs of food, housing, or other essentials. In an earlier publication, my colleague and I reviewed the 2019 food policy for Canada through the lens of food insecurity. We found that policy aspires to food security, but not in a way that likely addresses the reduction of food insecurity. Most programs in the policy that are associated with food security lack a clear focus on either increasing income or reducing food costs. In our paper, we provide a simple framework for government to consider when developing policies designed to reduce food insecurity. I'd be happy to review that in our Q&A. By AAFC's own assessment of the food policy for Canada, many of the programs with potential to reduce household food insecurity were deemed unlikely to have done so, with benefits accruing instead to community food security. An important question remains: to what extent do the food insecure themselves benefit from community food security? One program intended to address food insecurity is Nutrition North Canada, the federal government's premier program to reduce food prices in remote northern regions where Indigenous communities face high rates of food insecurity. My colleagues and I find that the program does effectively lower food prices on average. Several considerations, however, warrant ongoing attention. The program is not targeted to the food insecure, so all community members benefit regardless of income or food security status. The program applies only to select foods, and there's variation in the subsidies across those foods. So benefits vary by purchasing behavior, and grocery prices remain high due to remoteness. My view is that Nutrition North Canada is best thought of as one program within a broader portfolio of efforts needed to address food insecurity. I think it is worth noting that many, if not most, of the efforts to address food insecurity are outside the conventional scope of the agri-food sector. Programs like Old Age Security and Canada Child Benefit are income supplementation programs that have been shown to reduce food insecurity. I want to conclude by recognizing the fact that we are meeting in a unique moment in Canadian history, a moment defined by geopolitical tensions. In this setting, food security is increasingly blended with concerns of national sovereignty, food independence, community food security, amongst others. Each of these terms carries nuanced meanings and can motivate different policy actions with very different beneficiaries. Just to make this point, one concern I have is that some of these terms promote ideas that ultimately usher in protectionist policies that are counterproductive to the capacity of the agri-food system to cost-effectively adapt to present and future challenges in a way that secures food availability. Just to make this point by example, the agriculture system will continue to face the historic threats of weather and geopolitical disruptions. If, for example, a large region of Canada were to have its local food production severely diminished, perhaps by drought, perhaps by flood, we will rely on the adaptivity of our agriculture system with its vast trade networks, regional and international, to assure food availability. I believe this adaptive capacity is nourished by an entrepreneurial and competitive system. Many of the federal and provincial government's longstanding programs support this resilience and productivity. I'd like to end on a sentimental note and emphasize the ongoing importance of discussions that we're having in the education of our youth on these issues. For more than 20 years at the University of Guelph, I've had the privilege of working with students on these issues that we will be discussing today. No generation is better suited to address the future than the future generation. We're all committed to that. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I welcome your questions and discussion.
Always good to finish on an optimistic and sentimental note. Thank you. Senator Beery.
Thank you. I really wanted to get to this question. Professor Deaton, and this is also for Professor Elton, you eloquently put together, I would say maybe a Venn diagram of some sort in looking at the food insecure and how do we get more available income by whatever means we decide. But on the other hand, you noted the need for the production and producing that surplus so that you could now give food could be more available. I'm going to go now to that production surplus side, what you're talking about, in terms of our favorite person, George Washington Carver, and Extension Services, and how do we do that? And I'd like you to really, because I'm going to stop talking, to really dig into that, for both of you, for me, please.
How much time do I have? You know, this is a question that's dear to me. Let me, 2 minutes I'm getting, okay. Let me just say George Washington Carver is a remarkable person, born into slavery. He goes to Iowa and gets a graduate degree, becomes one of the foremost agronomists, but he moves to Tuskegee at the call of Booker T. Washington to reach out to rural farmers who are poor to do better and basically improve the land through the adoption of cover crops. The key element there is in his efforts, and that speaks directly to the university, is opening up the opportunity for university professors and students, is where I ended my written comments, to engage meaningfully with the public. And this is a form in the United States, they often refer to it as extension. In Canada, we refer to it as outreach. I think there is a capacity within the universities to expand and focus its outreach activities in a way that addresses the kind of aspirations of improving the well-being of lower income people that was like George Washington Carver.